Thank you. I'm Laura Torres with Careers. Thank you for coming and supporting this Boost Our Careers webinar as we take this opportunity to wrap up and celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month. This is a very special time for our community, just only simply because let me share some specific statistics for you. Approximately 60% of active duty military personnel self-identifies as Hispanic Latinos, and the Marine Corps accounts for the largest minority group that the military actually institutes. Today, we're paying tribute to our Hispanic Latinos in the military and their spouses who have and are positively influencing our nation's armed forces and the society through their day-to-day work. So thank you so much for supporting our webinar today, Breaking Cultural Barriers, Using Your Latino Hispanic Identity as a Superpower to Draft Your Military Spouse Career Journey. I know for me personally myself, I found it a little bit confusing through halfway through my military spouse journey, especially towards the end, trying to find a sense of belonging, reconnected with my cultural roots, as I once was a very strong, involved Latina in my local community growing up in Madison, Wisconsin, and then joining the military and sort of a disconnecting from those roots for over 21 years. So getting back and finding a little bit of my heritage roots after the military was totally a completely great and new experience. Today, we want to foster respect, open-mindedness for our cultures, as well as since over 20 cultural backgrounds celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month this particular time during this community. We're celebrating our differences as well as of common interests in the hopes that it will help us unite and educate us on ways to move forward together. So thank you so much for joining us. We are going to take this opportunity to highlight some key military spouses from our community who definitely support and do some great work on a day-to-day basis, as well as we have our host and our panel who are here to guide this webinar on your behalf. So thank you for watching. Please let us know where you are supporting. We'd love to be able to send you a shout out towards the end, and let's get started. Once again, thank you so much for supporting this webinar. Our guest we have today, our host, Sonia Vasquez, who is from the Arizona Coalition for Military Families. She will be leading our discussion, and of course, our panel, Laura Albubekr. She is also a Boost Our Families DEPLOY Fellow. Andrea Unzueta, who is also a San Diego DEPLOY Fellow, and Kimmi VanWagner-Usewicz, who works for Boost Allen Hamilton, and she has a very strong connection to our Latina community. But first, let me just take a moment right now to share some of our similarities and to celebrate also our differences by acknowledging and celebrating some of our key military spouses from our community who are doing incredible work. And of course, ideally, a friend of mine, Deli Rivera, who is a service-connected disabled Army veteran of 10 years and an Army spouse herself. She's the founder and creator of Deli Talks. She loves Nicaraguan caldo de res, which, wow, yummy. And of course, her favorite hobbies is reading and writing. The best place to connect with her is, of course, at Deli Talks on Instagram and Facebook. Of course, our next key Latina within our community, Kelly Salsa Davis, who self-identifies as an Afro-Latina from the East Coast, Army spouse of 22 years of Major Charles T. Davis. She also the owner and head executive coach of Anchor in Leadership. Kelly's favorite food is our Dominican cuisine. Coffee, of course, is a must in fall. Delicious. You can also connect with Kelly on LinkedIn. Then, of course, also another East Coaster, Melinda Ramirez, active duty Army spouse from New York, Director of Leadership Programs at the Hispanic Alliance for Career Enhancement at ASE. She loves lasagna, salsa dancing, and you can also connect with her on LinkedIn. And then, of course, very proud to know Carla Lenham. She's a Navy spouse, research and policy analyst, also in the East Coast. And she loves all the foods just like I do. Her favorite hobby is photography, and you can connect with Carla on Instagram, LinkedIn, of course, Facebook, and TikTok. So without further ado, let's go over to our panel. Thank you so much for supporting, and we look forward to your comments and your discussions. Hello, team. Welcome. How are you guys doing today?
Great. Thank you so much. Very excited to be here.
Absolutely. Thank you. So I'll turn it over to you, Sonia. Thank you so much. You are our lead host for today, and I'll take it over for you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. Thanks, everyone, for taking the time to be here today. To our guests and to everyone in our network that is watching right now. Thank you, Laura and Booster families, for giving me the chance to be here as well. It is a pleasure and an honor to be here, not only representing our military spouses, but also our Latin and Hispanic community. My name is Sonia Vasquez. I am with the Arizona Coalition for Military Families, an organization that offers support and assistance to our military community. I'm also a military spouse. My husband has been in the military for the past 19 years. We have two beautiful children, and I was also born and raised in Colombia. So I understand and I have a passion for not only our community as a military spouse, but also our immigrant community, our Hispanic community, because I've been there. I've gone through those struggles. I've experienced them. So this is definitely a passion of mine. I would like to give the floor to our guests today, so they can introduce themselves and share a little bit about themselves as well. Laura, I'll go ahead and let you go first.
Hi, I'm Laura, or please call me Lala as well. I'm a first generation. My grandpa, Papa Chava, migrated in 1964 to California from Briseñas, Michoacan. It's a beautiful place. I miss it. I love my Mexico. I identify as Latina. Also, I saw at times identify as Latinx as well, to build that openness and to let all know that they're welcome wherever I'm at. I have a bachelor's in women, gender, and sexuality studies, and I'm pursuing my MPH with hopes to kind of continue to bridge the gap that first generations experience. I've been a Milspouse for 12 years. My partner's in the Army. We have three kids. I'm always going to call them kids, no matter how old they are. They're always going to be my babies, but they're far from babies. And I was born and raised in California. We moved around multiple times, and I am now here in DC, and I'm happy to be here.
Welcome. It's nice to have someone here on the East Coast with me, right? I'm currently in Maryland, so right, we share the same weather.
Yeah.
Andrea, would you like to go ahead and go next?
Oh, sorry. Did you call on me?
Andrea.
Oh, Andrea, sorry. Go ahead, Andrea.
Well, hello, everybody. My name is I am the Sonia Fellow funded by USAA, a military spouse, my husband Navy, and we're currently stationed here. I am also a and I have my students from services and patients relation.
And I see, Andrea, that there's a little bit of lag in the connection. So we didn't really get all of the amazing introductions that you have here to share with us, but we can definitely share that in the comments with everyone in our network. Definitely connect with her. She has a lot to offer to our community. And we're so happy to have you here, Andrea. Kim.
Hi. So I am currently based on the West Coast in San Diego, but this Latina was made in Nueva York. Born in Queens, and my mother is from Bolivia, but my family lived all over South America, so we picked up a lot of different cultures in my family from every place that welcomed my family when when they were refugees fleeing war and violence in South America. So I have a deep appreciation for all Latin American cultures, And then, Bolivia is very underrepresented. So when I lived in New York, I hung out mostly with Puerto Ricanos and Dominicanos. So they welcomed me into their families as well. So, I love my Latin community. So in addition to identifying as Latina, I also identify as Latinx. And on the Indigenous side, for Indigenous heritage, since we just had what is it, the Indigenous Pride. Well, every day is Indigenous Pride. So so my identity is Andina for Andean heritage as well. Thank you.
Amazing. So much, right? And this is one of the best parts in our military, in military, well, yeah, in military communities, that we're so diverse, right? But in our Hispanic, Latino community as well. So we have from so many different places, so many different types of Spanish as well, right? Because every country speaks Spanish in a different way. So, but we all understand each other, which is the beautiful part of it. I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a few seconds to share a little bit about the accomplishments that you have accomplished through your as a military spouse and something that you're proud of. Laura.
Okay. Let's see. I think one of my biggest accomplishments is sticking it out. The first one, sticking it out no matter where we're sent. That's an accomplishment that I hold very dear to my heart, because I didn't realize it was accomplishments until I looked back and I was like, yes, those are definitely accomplishments. And then my second one is I received the Presidential Volunteer Award for the time for running the FRG while we were stationed in Missouri. And it was while Obama was in presidency. So I do take pride that, with Obama and president from the Obama administration, I received an award that's part of history. Amongst, all the other things, digging into our grit, every PCS and every deployment and every TDY, all of those, I definitely hold those dear to my heart as well.
Nice. Well, congratulations. Those are great accomplishments. And yes, sticking it out, which is so big, right? Because we just make the best of it. Every single time that we move, we reinvent ourselves. And that is a great accomplishment. It's not easy. It's not an easy thing to do. Andrea, would you like to go ahead and go next?
Of course, so spouse, so I don't have Laura the being a spouse. An accomplishment was being able to deploy fellow cohort for Blue Star, especially since I spent a year trying to obtain a bachelor's degree. So it's an opportunity and friends.
And those are great accomplishments, right? Like as a new military spouse, you are getting yourself out there, you're networking, you're connecting, and that is big. That is something that unfortunately, not a lot of spouses do. And that's where you see them, getting further and further from the amazing resources that we provide, right? As a community. So connecting, getting involved, those are great accomplishments, and they are definitely going to take you far throughout the military career of your spouse. Kim.
I think finding my community, that was the hardest thing when I became a military spouse. I felt so stripped of my community and dumped into this new one that didn't quite understand, where I was coming from, my experience as a Latina. I feel very fortunate that through my work and like volunteer activities, been able to help military spouse employee resource groups to diversify programming, not just multiculturally, but also for disabilities as well. Because when we look at intersectionalities within our communities, that's an added layer of challenge that we face, not only as Latinas but also people that may be disabled as well. So I think I find a lot of joy in creating those connections between people and just being able to find resources for others that were really hard for me. And it's all about like sending the elevator back down. You know, when it takes you a while to find what you need and get where you are, you send it back down to help others get where they need to be.
That's amazing. And these are great tools that you've learned throughout your military spouse life, right? Or career, because I call it a career. I call military spouse being a career as well, because we learn so much, right? Not only from job opportunities, but from volunteer opportunities, like you mentioned. And these are great tools that you learn and you are able to share with the community as well. So right now we're going to go ahead and dive into our conversation today, which is highlighting and bringing awareness to the struggles that our military spouse community, our Hispanic military spouse community has right now, right? So, and I apologize for my voice. I'm losing a little bit of my voice, but I think everything is good. According to a survey conducted by Blue Star Families, 27% of spouses of color are currently underemployed or unemployed, in comparison to 17% of white non-Hispanic military spouses, which means that more Latina Hispanic military spouses are currently not working or underemployed versus our counterparts from other ethnicities. So what do you think contributes to these outcomes? Is this a cultural barrier? I'm going to go ahead and have Laura answer this question right now.
I would say, I think it's split into cultural barriers and social economic barriers. Culturally, I think something that we experience is the lack of translation. I think that we need more translators in places of leadership, because the language barrier can really determine how strong an individual feels that they are able to do a job because of the language, not from their capacity, not from their knowledge, not from their ability. Well, yeah, no, not from their abilities, right? But from language. Also trusting the environments. And that also complements authenticity. So authenticity and trusting environments go hand in hand. Sometimes when we get a new job, we do question, well, how sincere are they welcoming my authentic self? If it's different from their perspective of what I'm supposed to look like doing this job. So that can also cause conflict, and that can kind of fuel the statistics. And socioeconomically, with family planning and the pay scale, those things, if those don't add up, then it's going to be difficult for spouses to go and get employment.
Absolutely. That's great feedback, and it's so true, right? Like, it has a lot to do with all of those factors. Do any of the other spouses would like to add anything? Kim, would you like to add anything to that?
Yeah, I would. Thank you. I think I see a huge barrier in access to allies. To put it simply, the challenges that diverse military spouses face, this includes Hispanic and Black military spouses. Our challenges are just different. I'm just going to call it different. I'm not going to call it unique, because it's a result of racism, which is not unique. It's heartbreaking. And with racism growing a huge divide within the military community, it is hard for us to survive without allies. And on top of that, to be separated from each other, because we have these like intricacies in military spouse culture that can divide, officer spouses from enlisted spouses. It's like, okay, well, if I'm the only Latina military spouse on the enlisted side and I'm not connected with the ones on the officer side, like what good is that doing to me to find that connection and that meaningful connection that I need? But also, multiculturally, we just need allies to support us. And, the lack of access to the allyship, it becomes a main inhibitor in our ability to network, and creates feelings of imposter syndrome. This is, I speak from firsthand experience of what it was like in my first couple of years being a military spouse and experiencing those things. And with organizations like Blue Star Families, they're so data driven, where they're starting to bring that stuff to the forefront. The Bureau of Labor Statistics is starting to bring to the forefront that Latina women are being put in historically segregated roles. So we need more allyship.
It's funny that you mentioned that, because that actually brings us to the next question in the next, on a different survey, right? A different statistic done by, of course, Blue Star Families. In 2022, they conducted a survey that states the female Hispanic Latina military spouses have the worst earning outcome of all military spouse groups by race or ethnicity. They earn 66% less than the total U.S. median earning. That's crazy, right? That's a huge difference. What can Latina, Hispanic military spouses do to stand out and make themselves more marketable to help them earn accordingly to their counterparts? Kim, what do you think of this?
Be fearless in your search for an ally, number one. Mm-hmm. And leverage your community, leverage the many Latin organizations that exist outside of the military spouse community, because your community is here. Don't feel like you ever left. Basically all these, when you go to these professional networking events, everyone's going to act like they're your tia and they're there to have your back. And it's so easy in the military spouse community to just cut yourself off from connecting with civilian Latinos, which you got to move away from, to find your people that connect with you at a cultural level and that understand the barriers you are facing socioeconomically. Our community is strong, and believe me, they want to help. And amongst your close allies outside of the Latin community, do everything you can to get their advice on salary negotiation. I can't tell you how helpful it's been to leverage my circle of allies out, both within the Latin community and outside, to get a better understanding of how and when to ask for a raise. Your allies can also be your advocates to inform leadership of all the things you're doing that are deserving of a raise. I found it also helps to just have like a direct conversation with leadership about your values and striving for equitable pay, so that they don't let you get left behind your peers because you don't know what to ask for and how to go about it. When your leadership knows it's important to you, it gives them an opportunity to provide equitable access to understanding the process for raises. And if they don't share that value, then it's time to move on and network with your Latina community to find another place that values you for what you are worth.
Great feedback. Thank you so much, Kim. Laura and Andrea, would you like to add anything to this topic?
I will, but I'll go after Andrea. Andrea, you want to add something?
I'll say that Latina myself and jobs, I have learned that you have from just within your Hispanic connections, also with the other minority. Speak about how you can help each other out, how to make yourself more accessible to any of these employers. As a minority, they don't look at you compared to somebody else. Oh, well, what does this, aside from speaking another language, okay, well, this, like Hispanic Latino can take advantage of, especially working, and okay, we can underpay them compared to others, since they're just starting off. Networking with other minorities, branching out to see how you can better make a better future.
And then to build on both what Kim and Andrea said, similarly, I would add, bring your gifts and believe that you belong. Nothing can tell you that you don't. You belong where you're at. And once you've done all your research on how much the position pays and compensation, add $5,000. Add $5,000 to your asking.
Do that, right? And use that as a superpower. I feel like sometimes we often see our language as a barrier, but it's actually a super strength, superpower, right? Mm-hmm. Because a lot of our employers actually use the fact that we know a different language to communicate with other employers, with other employees, right? With to use that as a tool to benefit from us as well. So if we use it as a superpower, I think it would definitely benefit us in the negotiation part of things when we're talking about salaries. So how are we using your identity as your superpower to draft your military spouse career journey? And what can you share with other spouses who have a unique, diverse background? What advice would you give us to use a superpower in our community?
I think so. For me, understanding that I'm an extension of my ancestors. Whatever I do in life, I bring those that came with me, before me, with me, in everything and anything that I do. I represent myself first, but then I also represent my family. And I would not want anything to cross my family. Therefore, I'm not going to allow anything to cross me to a point where I'm not applying my best. So I bring that as a superpower. I also utilize, when I'm working, it's, understanding that I'm an extension. My hands are my abuelita's hands, my mom's hands. So knowing that I'm using my hands similar to them, it humbles me and it brings me to them. So I would give that advice is understand that you are not alone. You may feel alone, but it is impossible, regardless on whatever belief system you have, that you are alone, and utilize that as your superpower. Listen to a Spanish song, listen to a novela, or call your Mama Hila. Well, my abuelita se llama Mama Hila, MJ, or call her and listen to the voice. And before you know it, you'll feel like you're home. You'll feel like you're having menudo on a Sunday at your abuelita's house.
And that's great to reconnect and embrace the background, embrace the culture. I know, for example, as an immigrant myself, someone that was born and raised in a different country and had to move to another country and start all over, right? As a child, that was hard, right? But I cannot imagine, or I can't imagine the struggles that my parents faced, right? And to restart all over again. I mean, if we're really thinking about it, they were well-educated individuals, professionals back in their country, coming to a different country and start and learning a different language, starting all over again. And those are tools that we got and we learned from, that we took. And then now as a military spouse, I'm using all of those tools, right? To reconnect, to network, to market myself, right? To connect with other individuals in my community and help them as well with the struggles, with the barriers that they face.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Kim, do you have any advice that you think you would like to share with our Hispanic military spouse community in regards to the superpowers that you use on a daily basis with this community?
I couldn't say it any better than Laura. Just know that you're not alone. Your superpower is it's you, and we see you. And just know that if we see you, others are going to see you too. Don't hide in a shadow, afraid to bring your full self. And if you are interviewing at a place or you're employed at a place where you feel like you can't bring your full self, then maybe it's time to find a new place that you can, because you're worth it. Your culture is, and your background, your history is all part of your story. I'm first generation, born in the US, but like for my family, it's just impressed upon me that if my mom could build something from nothing as an immigrant, like in her, coming here at 18 years old, then you can do it too. And that's often the skill that we're faced with in the military community, and it's a transferable skill. It's part of I feel like our heritage, it just builds upon all these soft skills and hard skills of how to excel in the professional community. never view it as a setback or that you have to hide it. And if you feel like you have to hide it, then it's time to find a place where you don't have to hide it. And then just send the elevator back down to help the next, Latinos that need your help and are trying to navigate and figure out a similar path to success. Send that elevator back down.
Absolutely. Andrea, anything that you would like to add?
Something I like from living in the military health, I noticed that many of our Latinx communities, and I was able to get out there and interact. Start off by leaving your apartment, trying communities, so that be able to get out of your comfort zone. Applying to jobs, applying to, I believe, the best with other Hispanic communities, which are your best support. And something that my parents have told me is that they came here a better future for us. On basically, if you want, you have to do it for yourself. Or you. So just go out there, give it your all, and you're not gonna get everything. As I've learned, I applied more than jobs, within like a year. You're just gonna have to keep trying. It's gonna get hard. Get those previous jobs. Find something you love and keep doing it.
That's great, right? Get out of your comfort zone. I think that is the best one. And that's something that we've learned from, everyone in our community is getting out of our comfort zone, connecting with each other, making sure that we share the struggles, that we share the highlights, the good, the bad, the ugly, right? All of those different things. But definitely highlighting the different skill sets that we have gathered through our ancestors in our culture, right? That's in our DNA. And we got this, right? We definitely do. Ladies, how can we connect with you guys? Where can we find you? I know you guys are on LinkedIn, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's connect. And I see that Laura shared the LinkedIn pages for everyone here in the comments. So that's great. Thank you so much, Laura. And right now, I think, is there anything else that you guys would like to add to share with our military spouse community here today?
If there's one thing that I would add, I think similarly to like what Kim and Andrea were saying, and I want to place emphasis is, you're not alone. When you think you are, you're not. And we share common stories. They'll never be the same, but we share common stories. I'm like looking, where's the camera for my fingers? Let me just put my hands down. and just know that you belong and utilize everything that we've been through in this military career, whether it's yours or your spouse's. And maybe we're even approaching a generation where it might even be their parents. And we now have generation of dependents coming on here for support. No matter where you are, utilize what you've been through, dig into your grit, and know that there's nothing but love for our culture. Anywhere you go.
I would like to add that getting outside of your zone is helpful even within the Latin community. When I lived in New York, I was exposed to, what the experience was for Afro Latinos that, don't feel as accepted in our society. And we have a lot of work to do in the Latin community to uplift both, whether they identify as Afro Latino or Afro Descendiente. And, we have a lot to do on that front. We have a lot to do in uplifting, people that have more indigenous heritage, like within the Latin community as well. Living here on the West Coast has exposed me a bit more into like the experience of Mexican and Chicana farm workers. and, you know, different challenges that they face. Like each of our communities faces different challenges. We have a lot to learn from each other, and a lot of work that we need to do for a sense of belonging within our own community. And it's a beautiful thing to grow from that, to, like, you know, despite the condition of the soil, like there's this poet that I know, her name is Tanya Ingram. She says, despite the condition of the soil, I will bloom. And I love that quote because I relate to it, like, just on a personal level, and I feel like it's inspirational within our community as well. And we can grow through building bridges of understanding with each other and uplifting each other.
Thank you. Very valuable feedback for sure. And we're not alone. Like Laura said, we're not alone. We got each other. And that's the beautiful part of being a Hispanic Latino, right? That we know we take care of each other. I know I've seen it throughout my military spouse career. I've seen and I've connected. And a lot of my success has been through other Latinas in this community, right? Connecting with each other, helping each other. There's a lot of different ways that we can, you know, translate or target different aspects in our career that are specific to our culture as well. So, and we have each other to go ahead and connect with. So definitely network, connect with every single one of these ladies. Andrea, is there anything that you would like to go ahead and do before we close this down or share?
I would just like to all our Hispanics that hard it gets, keep trying. Just like our ancestors did, they never gave. This is why we're here, be future, not just for ourselves, but nations to come. And never let your lines you. Because when why are you speaking Spanish? English? It's something beautiful. Don't.
Thank you, Andrea. Thank you, ladies. Well, right now we're going to go ahead and turn it back to Laura Torres. And I know we're going to do a little bit of highlights here from other military spouses in our community that have done some amazing work.
Thank you, Sonia, and thank you, great panel. Thank you so much for your support in this. And yes, definitely I want to take this opportunity to also highlight some key military spouses who have Latina Hispanic connection and are doing incredible work out in our community, supporting our military community as well as our general communities. And of course, Berenice Castillo. Who doesn't know Berenice Castillo? He's our founder and CEO of the Military Spouse Advocacy Network, Air Force spouse of a retiree, and she loves desserts just like me. Anything sweet. So as sweet as she is, you can definitely find Berenice on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and TikTok, which I'm getting a lot of TikTokers here, Sonia, aren't you? Of course, we have Alicia Bond, who is also a Navy spouse, a proud Puerto Rican, and you can meet Alicia for coffee for sure, or tea. Alicia loves spending time with her family, hiking, traveling, and she loves to practice yoga, and you can definitely connect with her on LinkedIn. Rosalba Savage, so proud Chicana, Navy veteran, as well as a Marine Corps spouse. She's a life and relationship coach, currently in the Tampa Bay area, and she is also a master's candidate right now at Columbia University, future social worker. She's a TEDx speaker, and you can find Rosie on TikTok, or definitely share and watch her TEDx. And then our very own Jessica Moser, who is an active duty Air Force military spouse. She's also a Spanish translator consultant here in military at Blue Star Families, and she's also has a day job. She's a material coordinator for Vertex. She loves pupusas, just like myself. See, lots of similarities here. You cannot have enough of them. I don't know about you ladies. You love pupusas. That's one of my favorite dishes out there. She loves volunteering. It's her favorite hobby, like very traditional military spouse hobbies, right? And you can definitely find Jessica on LinkedIn. Thank you so much for supporting this webinar and for listening to our story and our similarities as well as our differences. And then I hope that you have found this valuable. If you know of a military spouse who is of Hispanic Latina descent and they need to connect, build allyship. Of course, please send us over and make an introduction. But of course, anybody, we welcome everyone into our military spouse community. We're here to support and share with you all of our strengths and common differences as well. But most importantly, celebrate everyone. Sonia, turn it right back to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time today to be here, listening to our experiences, our culture, our feedback, our experiences. Thank you, everyone out there, the guests, and I look forward to connecting with everyone here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I've really enjoyed this. Thank you.
Thank you.